In Washington, the White House is dealing with a major shakeup. Press Secretary Sean Spicer has resigned. The White House announced that Sarah Huckabee Sanders will take his place next month, and Anthony Scaramucci will lead the administration's communications team. Associated Press White House reporter Valerie Salama was in the briefing room today, and she joins us now from the White House North Lawn. Vivian, so Sean Spicer, he's been sort of a lightning rod as press secretary, really since day one, when he claimed that President Trump had the largest audience to ever witness an inauguration, which of course was not true. Why is he leaving now, 6 months later?
Well, the way that the new communications director, Anthony Scaramucci, described it is that there is a gap between where the White House currently is and where they want to be. And so he's going to attempt to fill that gap. And certainly one of the, casualties of that effort to, make up for that gap is that Sean Spicer was not named communications director. He, as a result, resigned early this morning. Now, I mean, as you said, Sean Spicer has been embattled for quite some time now, not just from like his perspective with the media in terms of some of the stories that were put out there and some of the arguments that he made from the podium here at the White House that journalists really jumped on because they were factually inaccurate or somehow contradicted something that the president said. But also even with his relationship with the president itself, we started to see a little bit of friction between President Trump and Sean really coming to light a couple of months ago. They were in Rome when the president was on his first trip to Europe, and Sean Spicer, who's a devout Catholic, was not invited to go meet the Pope. There were a number of other incidents that happened that really kind of highlighted the friction that was taking place. And so obviously several months in the making, but we saw all of those developments manifest themselves today when Sean Spicer announced that he would be resigning.
And of course, it's not the first time we've seen one of the president's initial picks fall out of his favor. But what has been the official explanation for Spicer's leaving from the White House?
They're just trying to take on really a new message and try something different. And Anthony Scaramucci is definitely something different. He came out today to the podium, first announcing that the deputy press secretary, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, would be named press secretary, but then kind of getting into his own story and his own reasoning for where the White House needs to go and why these things need to change. He was the one saying that there was this gap in messaging, and they wanted to just really get on track there.
The AP is reporting that one of the reasons Spicer resigned was because of Scaramucci's lack of qualifications in the field of communications. How did he address that directly in his first press conference?
I mean, he basically countered it by speaking on a number of issues for a while. I mean, he was a personality that definitely captivated the room. He was definitely very articulate, but also very entertaining in some ways. At the end, he sort of blew a kiss to the press corps, which everybody got a kick out of. And it's going viral a little bit. So you don't often see a press secretary, show love so literally to the press corps. But it was definitely a little bit of a change in pace from what we've been used to the last 6 months. And that doesn't necessarily mean that everything is going to change. I mean, the comms director in the past has taken a reclusive role. I mean, we had, the previous one to hold the role really didn't do press conferences. He didn't engage directly with the media that much, sometimes just one-on-one, but not in a very public role. So it remains to be seen whether Anthony Scaramucci is going to be at the podium every single day. But definitely after what we saw today, we certainly know he's very comfortable with it.
I cannot wait to see who plays him on Saturday Night Live. Vivian, I want to switch.
We're taking bets.
You are. I want to switch gears. You recently wrote a piece saying the president's overtures to Russia are causing friction with his national security and foreign policy advisors. What more can you tell us about that reporting?
Well, Stephanie, it goes back to what I was just saying about the messaging issue here, and that's that a number of people in his top national security and foreign policy team were really starting to feel very troubled by what they were seeing in terms of the president's overtures to Russia, in terms of his outreach, his refusal to outwardly criticize Russia where criticism is due, whether helping the president of Syria in attacks against civilians, or just its aggression in terms of election meddling, in terms of aggression in Eastern Europe. A number number of things where the president has made sort of, casual comments here or there, but as a policy, he's never been consistent in terms of his criticism in Russia, and it's really started to disturb a number of his top advisors. And we saw that emerging even in light of the news this week that there was a third encounter with Vladimir Putin at the G20 summit earlier this month, where they talked for reportedly close to an hour at the dinner. No advisors were present. No one knew what they just talked about. And that really makes a lot of people nervous. If you remember, in May, you had the foreign minister of Russia come into the Oval Office, and it was reported, and we reported at the AP, that that the president casually mentioned some classified information on an ISIS plot to the Russians while they were there. And so people get very nervous when the president is on his own. What could he say? Might he divulge some classified information? He's been known to do that now in the past. And so the advisors also feeling very wary about trusting Russia, about moving forward with a relationship that assumes trust in Putin and doesn't really take him at arm's length. That makes a lot of advisors nervous. And so they've been voicing some of those concerns to a lot of allies and admitting that they don't necessarily see eye to eye with the president on this one, but they have to go along with what he wants. He's the president after all.
Yeah, you wonder what shadow diplomacy might be happening as a result of that. Valerie Salama at the White House. Thanks so much.
Thanks.